Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, Ph.D. And this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving, purpose-minded women who've written nonfiction books and want to amplify their message beyond the book. I'm a college professor, and when I'm not doing that, I am speaking, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women who have written books how to use their books to make a bigger difference, have more impact, and purpose. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. And we're in this season 2, Beyond the Book. And I'm so glad you're here and listening in and take the time out of your busy schedules to be here, especially when there's so much you could be doing right now. So many other wonderful things you could be doing right now. So thank you for being here. And today we're going to have a solo episode, which means I'll be sharing just from me, from my heart, my thoughts, my mind, instead of interviewing someone else. And so my thinking and reflection for our time today is about yearning for meaning. Yearning for meaning. And I'm talking about this today because work that is meaningful is everything to me. I yearn for meaning in my work, and without it, I feel empty and unfulfilled. And this yearning for meaning has been with me most of my life, apparently. I mean, I've told this story before, but it's worth repeating here to help make the point of today's episode. As you may have heard, I grew up in Connecticut, which I often say the great state of Connecticut. And I distinctly remember being a little girl around 6 or 7 years old, sitting on the front porch of this big 3-family house that my parents owned. And we had family living in the other floors. So on the outside, it looked like one big house, but it had individual apartments inside. And we were always in and out of each other's homes as if it were one. And I had about 7 or 8 cousins all around my same age. And we always had lots of fun. So I had this distinct memory of one summer when we were, we didn't have to go to school. And I was just sitting out on the front porch, just kind of being quiet and thinking. And after being out there for a while, I heard the other kids laughing and playing, and they were on their way out to the porch. So they were coming out to the porch. And I heard my father say, "Don't go out there and bother Robin. She's out there contemplating the meaning of life." And then he laughed and they laughed, and I didn't really know what was so funny, but I know I felt embarrassed. I kind of felt weird, like, okay, yeah, I'm out here thinking and they're in. And so I thought there was this strange, weird thing about me. All right. So now fast forward years later, as I became an adult and I thought about that story, and I know it so well because my father talked about it over and over again up until about my high school years. And, I didn't think it was that funny, but he was quite amused by it. But anyway, once I became a thinking adult and looking back at that story and that experience, I thought about, oh my goodness, he was right. I was thinking about the big issues of life, and I just had to do it. Now, I don't know if I was exactly asking myself, what's the meaning of life? But I know I had those big questions. It may have been one. And those questions are always with me. And they're with me today. And so that story is an example. It's an example of how meaning is very important to me and how I've been yearning for meaning most of my life. And I remember after leaving my first professional job, I was in a leadership role in the bank. And the reason why I left that position was because the work was not meaningful to me. So I set out on a journey that took me over 20 years to find what makes work meaningful for me. And a key piece of that for me is, work has to give me a sense of fulfillment, and that fulfillment comes from my own sense of making a difference in others' lives. But it took me all that time it took me 20 years to find out how to make that work for me. And as I probably mentioned in past episodes, I created a formula and teach others on how they do that, which is a conversation for another time. But for our point today, it took 20 years. It took over 20 years. And I figured it out. And I've been doing it. After the 20 years, I found it. And if I needed to, find a new position, I could always do it, and in a way that I could find work that was meaningful and fulfilling to me. So to my surprise, last year, I had been having an experience where I felt my sense of fulfillment was slipping away. It was just decreasing and lessening, and I began to yearn for more meaning. I wanted to make a bigger difference. I wanted to have more impact. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had that feeling or if you're having that feeling right now. It's a feeling like there's nothing really wrong and something is just not right. Something is missing. So that's the feeling I was having. And I realized sometimes as time passes, we grow mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes we don't upgrade our activities, our life, our work to match our new levels of growth. And when we don't upgrade ourselves, our activities, life, work, we start feeling the sense that something is missing. So if you're feeling that feeling like, yeah, nothing's really wrong, and yet something is just not right, something is missing in your work or your business, I believe that that is life calling you to more. And you might be saying, more what? I would say more of you living and working with a greater sense of purpose. So as I was saying, last year, I had that painful experience of my sense of fulfillment slipping away. It's just, I just knew I needed to do something different, but I didn't know what. So I got quiet, spent some time in meditation with the question in mind, what can I do to have more meaning, to make a bigger difference, and to make more income to support my projects and passions? Then a short time later, as I was preparing for another semester of teaching at the university, and as you may know, I've been teaching as a tenured professor at a university here in Los Angeles, and I've been doing that for over a decade now. And last year, while I was preparing for another semester, I noticed I had a spark of joy and passion as I was designing a new course. Now, I had designing courses all that time, and I enjoyed it generally, but this was a new sense of spark and joy after having that, months of feeling like, something's not right, something's missing, just lacking lessening sense of fulfillment. And right when I was doing this, suddenly I'm feeling energized. And this joy is bubbling up as I'm working on the course. And the course was based on a book I wrote. And when I look back after I finished putting the course together, I was like, wow, that was more fun than usual. What was going on there? And I realized it was the first time I created a course from a book that I had written, my own book. In the past, I was creating courses from other people's books, from textbooks, but this was a book that I had written, which meant it was original thoughts, ideas, and passions of mine that I had a chance to design and create and think about how I could lead the students from one lesson to the next to get the learning by the end of the semester. So then my wheels started turning and I was saying to myself, oh, I wonder if I could do this for others. What if I could do this for others? Because, thinking about that question, what can I do to have more meaning and make a bigger difference and more income to support my businesses and projects? And I said, oh, what if I could do this for others? Help them turn their books into courses. Wow, that would be a great joy. I would love that. And to me, it definitely will help me make a bigger difference because whatever work they're doing, I feel like I would be a part of that. And so I asked myself, who could benefit from something like this? Who could benefit from turning their books into courses? And the answer was like immediately, oh yeah, other coaches, consultants, and speakers who've written books and want to make a bigger difference themselves and want to have more impact and more income. Yes, that's it. I said to myself, that's it. So I jumped in and I began doing it right away. I just started contacting people that I know and said, hey, anybody who would benefit from something like this? And so I went into this discovery phase, just working with some people to see if I could get the successful results with them that I've had in my own experience with courses. And I did over and over again. It actually happened. So then I made it official and I started a new business, and Masterful Course Creations LLC was born. Yay. It's a great passion of mine, as you can hear, to build a business around the intersection of the different parts of me, my life, and my work. The intersection of education, business, and purpose. And all this stemmed from me having that feeling like nothing's really wrong, but something's just not right. That feeling of something was missing in my work. So if you're having that feeling, I encourage you to pay attention to all that you're doing. And if you see any piece of joy, any spark of passion in your work, pay close attention to that and ask yourself, is that a kernel of something that you could use to help others do the same thing that you do? Then you'll be on your way. And if you need help with any of this, of course, I'm happy to support you. Or if you want to know more about my process, just send me a DM anywhere on social media at Robin L. Owens, Ph.D., Robin L. Owens, Ph.D. Or if you know a coach or a consultant who has written a book and they want to turn their book into a masterful course, tell them to get my free video training at createmasterfulcourses.com. So just tell them to go to createmasterfulcourses.com. And of course, this will be in the show notes. Okay, until next time, this is Dr. Robin. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Dr. Robin signing off. See you next time.